The secret of work. Long ago in a prosperous kingdom, there ruled a king unlike any other. He was not only wise but also deeply compassionate, a ruler who cared as much for the hearts of his people as for the wealth of his land. His name was King Kahaniyan, and under his reign, the rivers flowed with abundance, the fields yielded golden harvests, and the streets of his capital thrummed with music and laughter. Yet despite the prosperity that surrounded him, the king often spent his quiet evenings in deep thought. One twilight, as the crimson sun dipped behind the hills and a cool breeze carried the fragrance of jasmine through the royal gardens, King Kahaniyan strolled among the flowering trees. His heart was troubled by a question that had been growing within him. He murmured to himself, "My people have food to eat and homes to live in. But are they truly happy in the work they do? Do they rise each morning with joy? Or do they labor only because life demands it?" The thought refused to leave him. That night, beneath a sky scattered with stars, he summoned his most trusted courtiers, men and women who had served him faithfully for years. "My friends," the king said, his voice calm but purposeful, "I wish to know the true secret of work. I want to meet someone in my kingdom who has discovered the joy of labor, not for reward or duty, but for love of the work itself. Find such a person for me, but listen carefully, you must travel in disguise. Let no one know you carry my command, for people may speak falsely if they know the king is listening." The courtiers exchanged curious glances. This was no ordinary task of collecting taxes or delivering royal decrees. Still, they bowed in respect and promised to fulfill his wish. The next morning, a small group of courtiers dressed themselves as humble travelers. They wore simple tunics, covered their heads with coarse scarves, and set off in a wooden bullock cart. The rhythmic creak of the wheels and the soft bells on the oxen accompanied them as they left the grandeur of the capital behind and entered the quiet villages beyond. Their first stop was at the edge of a dense forest, where the sharp sound of an axe echoed through the trees. There they saw a strong woodcutter, sweat glistening on his brow, as he split heavy logs. One courtier approached and greeted him warmly. "Brother," he said, "you seem skilled at your work. Tell me, do you enjoy what you do?" The woodcutter leaned on his axe and sighed, his eyes heavy with resignation. "Enjoy? No, travelers. My father was a woodcutter, and his father before him. This is the only life I know. I chop wood, not because I love it, but because I have no other choice. The forest gives me bread, but it gives me no happiness." Thanking him, the courtiers moved on, their hearts a little heavier. Farther along they reached the banks of a river where a washerman bent over a pile of clothes, scrubbing and rinsing with quick, weary hands. Foam floated downstream like tiny white clouds. A courtier asked gently, "Friend, you work so diligently. Does this labor bring you joy?" The washerman straightened, water dripping from his arms, and frowned. "Joy? I wasted my youth in idleness, ignored my parents' advice, and failed to learn any useful skill. Now I must wash clothes from dawn to dusk to feed my children. I do this only because life demands it, not because my heart desires it." The courtiers offered kind words and continued on their way. The day passed in a pattern of similar encounters. They met farmers bent beneath the sun, merchants weighing spices in crowded bazaars, craftsmen shaping clay pots with steady hands. Yet each story was the same. Some worked out of family tradition, others out of necessity, but all spoke of burden, not delight. By evening the travelers felt a growing sense of disappointment. Their search seemed in vain. "Perhaps no one truly loves their work," one of them muttered as the cart creaked along a lonely dirt path back toward the capital. Then, just as the first stars began to shimmer in the darkening sky, they noticed a soft golden glow flickering through the trees. It came from a small hut at the edge of a quiet village. Curious, they approached and peered inside. There, by the gentle light of oil lamps, sat a man surrounded by a circle of children. Some were writing carefully on palm leaves, others listening intently as the man spoke. His voice was warm and patient, carrying the melody of love and care. The courtiers stepped inside and bowed politely. "Good sir," one of them said. "May we ask what you are doing so late at night?" The man looked up with a radiant smile. "Welcome, travelers. This is my little school. By day I work in the fields to earn my bread, and by night I teach these children. Their families are too poor to send them to the city for education, so I share what I know here, in this humble hut." One of the courtiers, eager and hopeful, asked, "But this must be tiring. Do you truly enjoy such work?" The man's eyes sparkled as he replied, "Enjoy? I do not merely enjoy it. I love it with all my heart. Every lesson I teach, every curious question these children ask, fills me with peace. To help them learn and grow is not labor to me, it is a blessing. Each day I spend here is a day well lived." The courtiers exchanged looks of wonder. At last they had found the answer the king sought. They shared their gratitude and invited the teacher to accompany them to the palace. The next morning the humble teacher, dressed in his simple robes, stood before King Arivan in the grand royal court. The courtiers recounted their journey, the woodcutter's sigh, the washerman's regret, the farmer's weary toil, and finally, the teacher's shining joy. The king's eyes softened as he turned to the teacher. "Good sir," he said, "you have uncovered the true secret of work. Work done with love, not mere duty, is the path to happiness. Wealth and fame may follow, but they are only shadows. The real reward is the peace and fulfillment that come when the heart sings with the labor of the hands." In gratitude, the king rewarded the teacher generously and commanded the building of a grand school where children from every corner of the kingdom could learn freely. Yet the teacher remained humble, continuing to teach with the same quiet joy that had first drawn the courtiers to his little hut. From that day on, King Arivan often reminded his people, "True success does not lie in the kind of work you do, but in the love and passion you put into it. When work is done with interest, it ceases to be a burden and becomes a source of growth, happiness, and lasting fulfillment." And so, the kingdom prospered not just in wealth, but in spirit, for more and more of its people began to seek not only work, but joy in work. If you like my story, please like, comment, and subscribe.